Hello there, everybody. This is Linda Bloom, and I'm here with you today to look at the issue of, do you feel lost in relationship? Sometimes they're so confusing that we can feel lost. So I want to offer you a map. The map has meant a great deal to me, and I'm delighted that you're here to look at the map with me today. I really enjoy your comments. If you have questions and concerns, please send them to me. I will attempt to address them if I can. So this map that I'm talking about is the stages that we go through in relationship. And they have their common names, and they also have an archetypal name. The archetypal name is the one that is less familiar to people, and I think it's really useful to have both. The word archetype was coined by Carl Jung, and he defined that as the patterns that stay constant over time. And so no matter where you go in the world, if you go to India, if you go to Asia, if you go to South America, if you go to Europe, you will find that the couple's journey follows this kind of a map. It is archetypal. It is universal. It is a pattern that all couples must find their way. If they're going to be happy on the long term, they need to find their way about how to be in relationship with each other. And most all couples have a falling in love period, and the common name for that is infatuation. So the archetypal name would be the innocent, and it's the innocence like a child, and that we are not quite having a full set of information in the very beginning of the relationship, and we're infatuated. Now, the brain is putting endorphins and hormones into our bloodstream, and so we're a little daffy and a little drugged and a little out of it at this time. And also in infatuation stage, the visionary is very active because we're thinking in possibilities. And so it's a mixed bag. It's a very exciting time. You feel like you're walking on clouds. I finally found the one. I finally found her. I've been searching for years. I finally found him. I've been searching for years. And we fill in the unknowns with our Prince Charming and our Princess Charming fantasies. Some people just get days or weeks out of this. Most people get months. Some people even get years. But it comes to a close. At some point, we will be robbed of our innocence. We will have to leave the Garden of Eden and go into the world of reality. That stage can happen suddenly or gradually, and the common name for that is disillusionment. Who we had seen before as an angel sent from the spiritual realms, the answer to our prayers, can now, when we are disappointed, feel betrayed, let down, deceived, they can look demonic. They can feel like they come from the devil world, from the hell realms. Neither one is really true. They weren't quite as angelic as we saw them to be when we were filling in the holes with our princess and Prince Charming fantasies, nor are they a total devil. And that is also coming from our pain from having the infatuation ripped away from us. There are tasks in each one of the stages. In the innocent stage and the illusion stage, it's to come down to earth and to see what is really true about me and this other person. Are we really a good match? Do we have enough interests in common, values in common, goals in common that will keep us together over the long haul? And so the disillusionment, it's like a test. Okay, can you have your illusions swept away from you, and you still stay present, inquiring into who am I and who are they. The disillusionment stage can feel very sad. And that's why the archetypal name is the orphan stage. We can feel very alone, bereft, even hopeless. It can be so discouraging. A lot of people lose their relationship at this time. They just say, oh, they're not who I thought they were, we're not a good match, and might as well cut my losses and go on to somebody else. It's a shame if you don't really stay present to feel through the sadness, to feel through the aloneness, to be willing to report out about that, because maybe it's workable. Maybe it's a temporary low and you just need to push off of the bottom and come up. But the orphan can feel so alone and so depressed and so dejected that they don't even try. They don't have energy to try. And the challenge in this stage is, even after disappointment, to risk and to try again. And even after trust has been broken and trust has sagged down, to dare to trust again, to learn how to repair. Even after we may feel like we're a wounded victim, to forgive and to be willing to learn from it and to let go and to go on to other tasks. But if we are that little orphan child that I sometimes describe as having fallen into the well, and we're in the bottom of the well of despair, in the well of loneliness, and we may feel so discouraged that we don't even have the energy to cry out for help. Somebody please help me. Lower down a rope. Send down a ladder. Somebody come and get me. Somebody come and help me. I feel so discouraged and alone. So the task there is to be willing to speak about what we're experiencing so that we don't stay in that feeling of being abandoned and nobody cares about me and nobody can help me. If we can do the tasks that are required of us to trust again in the disillusionment stage, we get to go on to another stage. This, layman's terms, is the power struggle stage. The archetypal name for this stage is the warrior. And in the warrior stage, we learn how to draw boundaries. Can you see the warrior take their staff and put it in the sand? This is my stance. This is my truth. This is my boundary. Can you see that this is not the kind of warrior that wants to be destructive? This is the kind of warrior, the high-level warrior, that's a warrior of the heart, that does not want to take the sword out of their shield and start doing damage to the other person, because they're awake enough to know that if they cause damage to anyone, that will come back to them, that they will damage themselves. The challenge in the warrior stage is to become a higher level warrior, to be able to work out the differences in a way where both people can feel some level of satisfaction, where no one is defeated, where in relationship, if one person ends up feeling like they lose, both people lose, because the intimacy goes down, the trust goes down, the closeness and the rapport goes down. So to find a way to be together where the differences aren't so divisive, where you can learn from the differences. The task for the warrior is to set boundaries, to speak truth without blame and judgment, and to be willing to feel some pain, to be willing to feel some discomfort, because it isn't going to be all fun and games in this section. And then we may have to circle back and spiral back and do a little bit more in the disillusionment stage. And then we do a little bit more in the power struggle stage. Because this journey, this archetypal journey, is not a steady rise like climbing a ladder of success. It is not like going to elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. It is a spiraling. So we do some work in a stage, and then we come back and we do some more work in that stage. And when we find ourselves, oh no, back into the disillusionment again, didn't we do anything? We're back to square one. Haven't we accomplished anything? Yes, you accomplished a lot in the previous stage, but you may need to go back and do a deeper cut at some of the same things. So I'm delighted that you're tuning in. Some people have been with us before. Some people are coming for the first time. But this is really essential for the people who want to go for the gold in relationships, is to know where they are on this map. You are here. And if you notice that you're in the power struggle stage, and then you notice that becoming a warrior of the heart is your growing edge right now, as it is for many people in relationship. They haven't had good models, so they haven't learned. They've got a learning deficit, and they want to learn how to handle differences well, how to speak their truth without blame and judgment, how to be willing to stand in the heat of the fire, stand near the heat of the fire, not to bail when it gets tough, and to find courage. This is a major task of the warrior of the heart. When we start to have some mastery in this stage, we can go on to being a caregiver. And the archetypal name is martyr. The martyr sometimes has a bad reputation because people think of the sacrificing martyr. And indeed, in this stage of caregiving, there is some sacrificing that needs to be done, but we have to be careful to be the high-level caregiver and not to overdo it, not to give so much that we spoil the other person and indulge the other person and then end up feeling resentful that we're not having a reciprocal relationship. So to learn how to be generous of spirit, to be awake and aware and mindful, to tune into what the other person may want or need from us, which may be very different from what we're wanting and needing. Everybody's love languages are so different. To be a high-level caregiver, we need to tune into, is their favorite love language touch? Or is it gifts? Or is it words of affirmation? Or is it how we spend our leisure time? Do you know, these are so precious, knowing how our partner wants to be loved and revealing to them how we want to be loved so they can be a high-level caregiver to us. In this stage, our commitment muscles are getting worked out. This is a stage of commitment where we are becoming less selfish. We are becoming more generous of spirit. We are practicing making our partner's needs just as important as our own. Not more important than our own, but not less important than our own. And this can be a growing, stretching time, learning how to be a really champion caregiver and to be strong in commitment. So you see what the tasks are. If this is your stretch, if this is your work to be done, that you're in the commitment stage, how to strengthen your commitment so that you become eligible for a great relationship. When people get strong in commitment, they can dare to go on to the next stage, which is the stage of individuation. The archetypal name is wanderer. And in the fairy stories all over the world, they have the same kind of a trajectory when the person feels restless. Is this all there is? And they are challenged to heed the call of the wanderer, to find out what's more. In the archetypal stories and in the fairy stories, they often leave their family and their community and they venture out on some kind of a quest. into parts unknown. And the people back home say, are you out of your cotton picking mind, leaving the safety and the security of the family and the community? But it's feeling too tight. It's feeling too constrained. It's feeling too cramped. And when you hear the call of the wanderer, you want to bust out of the old tried and true traditions, and you want to find out what's really true for you as an individual. You don't want to let anybody hand you a script for your life. You don't want to let them tell you, whether it's your family, whether it's your community, whether it's your religious group, whether it's your ethnic group. You don't want to let them tell you how to live your life. You want to discover that for yourself. And in the archetypal stories, they go out and they slay dragons, and they meet all kinds of enemies, and they meet all kind of helping people and characters and animals too. And they have quite a variety of experiences. No boredom here, plenty of excitement, sometimes life-threatening, but no boredom. They're out of their comfort zone. They find when they slay the dragon that there is treasure, and they bring the treasure home to their community. The treasure represents the knowledge of the self, and that you return from your archetypal journey, your heroic journey, with a sense of who you are. Then you are eligible for a much higher level of relationship. If the partner has also been going on their individual journey, finding out who they are, and it doesn't necessarily mean a physical journey somewhere. It may be being a psychonaut, where it's the internal journey, where you're going inside to know deeper levels of the self. And you know your good news, and you know your not so good news. You know your golden shadow, and your not so golden shadow, your dark shadow. But you know who you are. You know what your growing edge is. You know your strengths, and you take ownership of them. And you know your weaknesses, and you're working at trying to make them a little stronger and less weak. In our culture, women seem, here we are well into the 21st century, to get a lot more permission to do the caregiver martyr work and the commitment work. Men don't get as much encouragement from family and culture to do that. The women still, here well into the 21st century, don't get much encouragement to do warrior work. Strong in boundaries. This is what's true for me. This is what I want. Initiatory energy, leadership. So there are always exceptions to these rules, but generally speaking, the men get more permission for warrior. The women get more permission for the commitment in the caregiver. Nobody gets, in my opinion, nearly enough encouragement and support for the wanderer work. And this is essential, because if we don't have a deep knowledge of who we are and what we're bringing to this relationship, that is going to put a ceiling on how far we can go. If we're not willing to take those kinds of risks, and people will tell us, stay where the comfort is, stay where the predictability is, stay where the security is. But to not allow that part of us that wants to risk, that wants more, that has ambition, that is eager to have more. If we don't follow that and find out more about what the world is like and who we are, it will arrest our development in our relationship. If we do this task of risking, cultivating adventures, cultivating new people, new ideas, new belief system that really fits us, those are the tasks. We become eligible to be a very high-level lover. And the archetypal lover is exquisite in their paying attention. This is the lover that's beyond just the caregiver, that the commitment is so deep, that the devotion is intense, that the devotion is very fine-tuned, and the level of appreciation and gratitude for our partner is very fine-tuned. We do not take each other for granted. And so the way in which we hug, and the way in which we kiss, and the way in which we caress, and the way in which we speak to each other is very fine-tuned. There is finesse. There is an exquisite gentleness that is firm and strong and deeply soul-nourishing. So when we master the tasks in the infatuation stage of the innocent and in the caregiver commitment stage and the warrior stage where we learn about boundaries and hanging in there in the pain, and the lover stage and the finding of self, we become more whole. We become more well-rounded. We become more of who we can be, realizing more of our potential. And if we keep cycling back to do some finer tuned work in the previous stages, and then we come again, a little bit more individuation, a little bit more warrior work, a little bit more handling the disillusionment and the disappointment, and then some more warrior work and some more individuation and becoming a exemplary lover. When we accomplish these tasks, we just pop through. The intimacy stage is not the final destination. The pop through is to the magician stage. And the magician stage is when it looks like magic. It isn't actually magic, but it looks like it because we are so in the flow, we are so in the current of life that it looks effortless. It appears that way because we have refined our tasks in the previous stage. And then the current of life can carry us. And this is the stage that is fully joy-filled, where we're full to overflowing. You see, the couple is still facing each other in the intimacy and lover stage. In the magician stage, they turn and face the world because their soul tanks are full to overflowing. It can't contain all the love that they have, and they are compelled to give it out. You have couples in your life who you know are so happy. You know, they're giggling together, they're smiling, they have ease, you know, and they are magnets, these beacons of light of these happy couples. And we long to be those, but sometimes we're so lost about, if I knew what my work was, I'd do it. I just don't. I feel so lost. I don't know what my work is. And this archetypal journey is the map that you can locate yourself. You are here. You can say, oh man, I've got a lot of warrior work to do. I see what my work is to do. I need to learn how to express myself without coming across bitchy or demanding or commanding. I need to know how to tell the truth and draw the boundaries without the blame and judgment. Or maybe I'm just feeling disillusioned and I feel like, you know, my partner let me down and I need to dare to trust again. But to learn from, both of us need to learn from how it is that this breakdown in the relationship happened. Or maybe I need to work out my commitment muscles, whatever they are, to know that this is a journey really worth putting time and attention into because the rewards are tremendous. And I bet you anything that all of you listening have had magic moments. You've had those moments when you feel like life is good and I'm so beautiful and my partner's so beautiful and I'm so glad to be alive and I'm glad to be alive at this time and I've got what it takes. And we've all had those magic moments where we feel so filled with love that we just feel compelled to give it away. I'm going to go out, taking a walk. I'm going to smile at the people that I find on my walk, complete strangers, because I'm feeling so good today. I got to spread it around. So to take this journey has tremendous payoffs. And of course, the part of us that's impatient to have it wants to go straight to magician. We don't have to pay the price. We don't want to have to do the workouts to become eligible for the great relationship, to get those commitment muscles, to get that pain tolerance that the warrior knows, to become more forgiving and allowing, and to do the repair work when we feel disillusioned, and to become that artful lover, and to know ourselves so deeply that we take the chance to be separate, to have separate beliefs, to have separate, sometimes even values, to have separate styles of being in the world. But look to your own experience and see if you have done work in these areas and what benefits it brings to you. And let your imagination be big. If you were to really take this on, to master all the tasks of the archetypal journey so that you could break through to magician, what that would mean to you. This, from my point of view, is the worthy goal. Going for the gold and having great relationships, not just our romantic partnership, but we take the archetypal journey with other people in our lives too, with our kids, with our friends, with our parents, with our siblings. This is the work of great relationships. So take a moment to consider what that would mean to you, what your life would be like if you were to do all the work, the labor of love, that you were to take this journey, what your life would be like. Because if we can hold in our vision the magnificent, delightful, delectable payoffs of the intimacy and magician stages, it gives us fuel in our tank to slog through the work that isn't sometimes quite as much fun, to attain those exalted states that are possible. For us ordinary humans, us ordinary folks can have extraordinary relationships if we check the map, and if we use our GPS to navigate through, we can establish exemplary relationships, joy-filled, deep relationships. So next week, Charlie's going to be back. He's teaching in Louisiana right now, and he'll be back, and we want to tell you what our next topic is going to be. It's when you've lost that love and feeling. Because some people believe when you've lost that love and feeling, it's gone, gone, gone. And we want to challenge that belief that it may just be a myth, and there may be some real beautiful light after the love and feeling's gone dark. So I'm hopeful that I will see all of you, and please tell your friends about all the juicy samples that the Blooms are given on the Thursday afternoon from 12:30 to 1 on their Facebook Live. All the best. Enjoy your week.